Hello and welcome to A Review to a Kill, the James Bond retrospective podcast where we rewatch every Bond from Connery to Craig to review and rank each one. I'm your host, Special Agent Sedgwick, and returning for this debrief is an agent that always has his Playboy Club card.
I wanted to be adopted by Hugh Hefner. Carter, Chris Carter.
Today, we are reviewing Live and Let Die, the 8th Bond outing from Eon Productions. The film premiered on the 27th of June, 1973 in the United States before showing at the Square on the 6th of the next month. The film was a success with positive reviews. Made for $7 million, it made $161.8 million in the box office. So made for less than Diamonds, but made a lot more. This movie was made for the same amount as On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but made twice as much.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I guess that's just one more thing to show you that Lazenby didn't have what it takes.
This movie was a hit when it came out, and I'm focusing on this because this movie is another one of the better Bond films that modern keyboard warriors say is the worst, despite what people actually thought from its era.
Yeah, it's weird.
Produced by the Brock and Salt Connection, starring the Saints Roger Moore after a long courtship. It's said that they wanted him for the first Bond film, and they definitely wanted him before Lazenby, but they finally have him now.
Fresh out of that contract, I suppose. The Saint was a pretty popular TV show, and the BBC was really reluctant to let him go.
Oddly reminiscent of Pierce Brosnan.
Remington Steele.
In Bond news this month, a new stage at Pinewood will be built and named after Sir Sean Connery.
Wow, that is super cool. I'm gonna go work on the Sean Connery stage.
I bet it's fucking huge, just like his dick. Also, a super yacht named 007 sank off the coast of a Greek island, prompting a night rescue by the Coast Guard of the passengers. The super yacht ran aground when it came within 50 feet of the shore.
Wait, what?
They came too close to the shore and then...
So, 50 feet or so from the shore? And they had to rescue people? Like, what?
Less than 20 yards, yeah.
Why couldn't they just get off the boat?
Bro, they were wearing Versace.
Walk to the beach.
You're gonna swim in this gooch?
No.
No. You peasant. Call the Coast Guard.
Please call the Coast Guard. What'd they use? Jet skis? They were 50 feet of water. Like
they walked over and held out their arms and said,
right,
jump.
Please jump into our arms. We'll carry you to the beach.
Yeah, we'll just walk back.
50 feet. What the fuck?
The dots roll out, and the fanfare blasts the Bond theme in a bombastic but elegant version that heralds the new Bond. Out walks Roger Moore in a dark suit who turns and fires whilst bracing his right arm near the elbow with his left hand. His brace is a little awkward, but still the best gun barrel sequence so far.
I was gonna say the exact same thing. The best gun barrel sequence so far. Not dancy, not turny, professional.
The Saint has served us well.
Yeah, all of his Saint training paid off for that one, yes.
They were like, you can't do any Saint mannerisms. Don't fucking raise your eyebrows, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Good color to the blood, and Bond is still visible after the blood plate covers him. There is a slight wonkiness to the compositing of the Bond plate in the circle, but I only noticed because of 4K upscaling. The dot reveals the New York skyline as we approach the United Nations building and a helicopter establishing shot that's shaky as hell. The Bond theme holds its fanfare here for as long as they bloody could.
Yeah. Blow, motherfuckers, blow.
Cutting to inside the UN, we see the delegate from Hungary, played by Gabor Vernon, rambling on, while up in the translator booth, Mark Smith relays in English over a headphone tannoy system. Behind him, someone surreptitiously replaces the input cable to the United Kingdom delegate with a cable going to an explosive plunger, the type you see in a Wile E. Coyote cartoon. When pushed, the plunger doesn't activate an explosion, but rather a hypersonic device into the earpiece of the UK representative, which somehow kills the man.
I was wondering that myself. I was like, how did that work?
I know it was a bit of an annoying sound, but come on.
Like, you yank the thing out your ear, like...
Do some kind of self-preservation, yeah.
Right, like, I don't...
It was a brown note, and he shot himself and died of embarrassment.
Completely died of embarrassment because that's the only thing that would explain his instant death.
All jokes aside, he dies, and at first, everyone just looks forward again like, never liked him anyways.
Right, he collapses on the table and it's like straight to business as usual. He's drunk again, or whatever they were thinking. I don't.
Like how Kananga's allowed to have an entourage in the UN with him.
Yeah. Well, he's black. We have an entourage.
Fair enough. The UK representative is a man named Dawes, played by James Drake. Cut to New Orleans, Louisiana, baby. Guy Hamilton thought Mardi Gras was too obvious to showcase, and the Junkanoo was already done in Thunderball, and so instead, they decided to have a scene employing the funeral parades the city is known for.
Yes, the famous New Orleans dirge.
A British agent named Hamilton, played by Robert Dix, smokes along the street in the French Quarter as the parade ambles up slowly, playing melancholy music.
Slow down. His name is Bob Dix.
Yep.
Okay, just checking.
Okay, moving on. All of this happens as an old man, played by Alvin Alcorn, approaches Hamilton. He asks the old man whose funeral it is, to which the old man replies, "Yours," before stabbing him to death in the street. The pallbearers lower the coffin over the body, and a trap door in the bottom allows them to pick up the body in the coffin and continue as trumpets blare and the music swings into celebratory zydeco and the procession begins to dance. Fucking love this scene, by the way.
It's a good scene. From a physics standpoint, difficult, but a good scene.
Well, first off, he stabs a dude in the liver and he dies within 3 seconds. And I know you bleed out fast from the liver, but I'm like, okay, all right. But then those dudes drop for literally long enough to splice the footage. I mean, to pick him up.
Yeah.
And struggled not at all.
No, not at all.
And those guys were lankier than you. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, well, a lot of strength.
Shrimp. They're in Louisiana.
Strength.
Shrimp. It's STRMF. That's how you spell that. If y'all can't tell, we're going to my home territory in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Cut to San Monique, a fictional island in the Caribbean known for its poppies and voodoo practices as seen here. San Monique sequences were shot at Pinewood and at Jamaica.
Back to Jamaica, man.
Going back to where they shot Dr. No 11 years later.
Right.
Already paying that homage to our past.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd get down with their bad selves as a voodoo priest named Dambala, played by Michael Eben, dances with a snake. Wearing a fashionable goat headdress, he approaches another stuffy white dude named Baines, tied to a pole. Baines is portrayed by Dennis Edwards, and after some teasing, the snake finally bites the man, causing him to instantly die. Of course.
Does it, though?
Yes. Yes, Baines is dead.
Yes, Baines is dead, but did you see any bite marks?
Maybe he died from fear of anticipation. He had a bad heart. They were gonna bite him, but they didn't get close. He was still doing his foreplay dance, and the guy's heart just...
Oh, God.
As the man's life fades out, we fade into the title sequence, with the producer's card getting the immediate treatment.
Yes. Big tits. Titties.
This sequence is stellar. It is thematic and cultural. The song is banging. It is a masterpiece. The way the woman's head resembles a lit match as her face cuts to a skull with the first hit of the film's theme is genius editing.
I enjoy this song immensely. It's probably my favorite James Bond song of all time.
Oh, damn.
Oh, yeah. Live and Let Die is a great fucking song. And I don't care if you don't like the Beatles, and I don't care if you don't like rock and roll. Live and Let Die transcends genres. It is a phenomenal song.
The magical sparks and flames and dancing hands evokes that voodoo sense and prepares you for a journey you've not taken with Bond before. There's an elegance to the simplicity of the execution that contrasts sharply with the brilliant aesthetics and creativity on display.
This was way better than a lot, plus it had the song, so banging.
Many people were approached about the Bond role, including Sir Anthony Hopkins, before signing the saint himself, Sir Roger Moore, the second Bond to be a knight.
Could you imagine Sir Anthony Hopkins as James Bond? James Bond.
Would you like a vodka shaken not stirred? No, but do you have any Chianti? The role of Solitaire almost went to Diana Ross before being given to Jane Seymour.
And it should have been given to Diana Ross.
Elaine Shriek is back for continuity's sake. Props to Patrick Weymouth. Hamilton still hates the UK film unions, so of course there's an American crew again. But they all had the best shots last time, so I'm not complaining.
Don't complain. It wasn't bad this time either.
Funny name, Steven Skloot.
Scoot?
Runner-up, Bob Dix.
Bob Dix.
Shark Scenes by William Grief.
Is he the same guy from Thunderball?
Nope.
I like it.
Supervising art director Sid motherfucking Kane, but honestly, there's far more location shooting than sets this time.
Oh, yeah. A lot more outside.
And a lot of the buildings they shot in, it's like half and half.
Yeah,
Some are locations, some are sets they built.
right.
Co-art directors again, Bob Lang and Peter Lamont. Special effects, Derek Meddings. Editors Burt Bates, Raymond Poulton, and John Shirley. Wow. This shows, by the way, the entire film. The film has more quick cuts and random pointless inserts than any other Bond flick so far. We lost John Steers.
Yeah. It kind of shows.
I love John Steers. He shall be missed.
He shall be missed.
Also, they have 3 dubbing editors, which I should mention. Stalwart Nikki Vanderseel dubbed the Marie character in the opening of Diamonds Are Forever, and I forgot to credit her, but she returns to partially dub Solitaire for this film, for some reason.
Jane Seymour didn't speak English?
She's British. They partially dubbed her, just like Tiger Tanaka.
Okay.
Not in Technicolor and not in Panavision, and it shows.
Well,
Stunts coordinated by 6 assholes, one of which is Bob Simmons, and another is the guy who owned the crocodile ranch they filmed at in Jamaica. His name is Ross Kananga, and that's who they named the villain after in this movie. The crew loved this guy, and Seymour recounted him touring the farm to them and pointing out a big croc and saying, "That's the one who got my daddy." Me, if I owned a gator farm and one of them got my daddy, he wouldn't be around to show off. I'd be showing him off on my feet.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If there was a crocodile that killed my daddy, he would be Boots. Sorry, son. Boots. Yeah, this is the croc that got my daddy. I like to walk around on him, show him off every once in a while.
Step in shit every now and then.
Point it out to the other crocs. This is what's gonna happen.
You motherfuckers. Next one of you that thinks you're brave, too. New award, most British name ever, Weston Drury Jr., casting director.
Holy mackerel. All he needs is an Esquire on the end of that one, and booyah.
Main titles by the man, Maurice Binder, who has the fire again. Director of photography, Ted, give the man a BAFTA more.
Give the man a BAFTA more. There you go.
Title song composed by Paul and Linda McCartney and performed by Paul McCartney and the Wings. Paul was approached to score the movie. Broccoli had the Saltzman to fucking ask a Beatle to score his Bond film. Paul said, "No, I'll do the theme, but hey, I'll get my longtime producer and famous fifth Beatle, George Martin, to do the score for the movie." So there's your explanation on why the music is already going so goddamned hard.
Yeah, the score throughout the whole film with just the whole live and let die refrains and everything. It was good.
Everything was layered
Yeah.
way better and way more intricately than the same Bond themes had just more instruments properly layered. It was just hitting you like everything was like I was saying. There was an elegance to it, but it was also just more bombastic at the same time than anything you've heard.
Right. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong about that at all.
In fact, the score was nominated for a Grammy, and the title song "Live and Let Die" was nominated for an Oscar. And the song "Live and Let Die" was voted by BBC viewers in 2012 as the best of the then 23 Bond songs by over a fourth of the vote.
By over a fourth. And I bet if you asked them still to this day, it'd still be the best.
Well, I sincerely doubt that Sam Smith and Billie Eilish took that. Screenplay by returning Tom Mankiewicz. Produced by the Broccoli Head and the Salty Men. Directed by returning Guy Hamilton. Closed hands dissolve, reveal the film proper, creating a curtain-like effect once more as we open on a girl's face. We pan out to see the girl, played by Madeline Smith, who's laying on Bond's chest. Bond is stirred by a buzz at his door, and he checks his watch to see the hour is still early before he goes to get the door. The girl begs for another round and pouts as he walks away.
Yeah, our man. A sharp-ass pajama set.
Bond opens the door to see M, and Bond's heart skips a beat. He unlocks the door and says, "Morning, sir. Insomnia?" Instructions. As we pan back from over the door to see the girl has hidden herself. even though Bond keeps looking at his empty-ass bed all sus.
Right?
M exposits that 3 agents have been killed, and he needs to pack immediately. Bond stalls him by quipping he rather liked one of them, as they shared a bootmaker. That was Baines.
Yeah, Baines.
Who's really dead, I told you.
Yeah, there's no bite mark. I don't know.
Hashtag no bite mark.
No bite mark.
We're starting this. Who's Baines? I don't know, but he wasn't killed. It's a fucking conspiracy, man.
It's a conspiracy.
Moore is a different Bond altogether, and unlike Lazenby, they didn't try to be Connery. He's not a rough Scotsman. He's an elegant and proper Englishman. But he also has the chops for comedic delivery.
He is, at this stage of his career, probably the best choice to fill those shoes.
They should have gotten him instead of Lazenby and given him the role a couple movies earlier instead of having to suffer the last 2 movies when he was too old.
Yeah.
That would have been better for his career.
Yeah, I think that would not have been a bad choice.
And he would have made OHMSS work a little bit better, I feel like.
Probably. Maybe.
Bond offers a coffee to prevent M from going into his bedroom, but dude, just tell him to fuck off your bedroom. He already barged in your home at 3 a.m.
Right? He's walking around like he owns this place.
I mean, maybe he does. Maybe it's government property that he's shacked up in.
Mm-hmm.
Bond's apartment here, by the way, is something else. The living room is classical and fancy, but the kitchen screams your grandma's 70s kitchen.
Or Modern Kitchen, Matthew. The movie was made in 1973.
Yeah, but everyone has a grandma that had a 70s kitchen, and this is exactly what it looked like, and they're going to know just hearing that.
Yeah, that's true.
Not everyone watches us on YouTube.
Not everybody watches us.
Some people listen on Spotify. Shameless plug.
And shout out to those people on Spotify who just listen.
Bond grinds some beans and starts his espresso machine, but has no clue how the frother works. Baristas are cringing. M has to talk louder and louder, and when finally presented his coffee, he points at the machine annoyed and asks if that's all it does. By the way, congratulations are in order. The Italians are quite impressed with how you handled that Rome affair. Anyway, they seem to be missing one of their agents, a Miss Caruso, as we see Moneypenny coming in to find Agent Caruso hiding herself in a closet and asking her to keep quiet.
Like, what the fuck? Does everybody just walk into James Bond's house? This is the man's private residence. Like, you people don't knock.
Bond uses Moneypenny's arrival as an excuse to equivocate, and they move into the living room again. Moneypenny gives him his passport and watch that Q repaired. M chides Bond over overburdening the taxpayers with a perfectly suitable watchmaker right down the street. Bond retorts by activating the watch's super magnet feature, pulling M's coffee spoon from across the room. Powerful enough to block the path of a bullet at long range. A theory M is tempted to put to the test.
I was like, did M just threaten to shoot James Bond?
Fuck yeah, he did.
Yeah, he seems to be perpetually annoyed in this scene.
Bernard Lee is a genius. He's getting slightly more annoyed, but also more trusting with each movie.
Yes, but also more annoyed.
He's the best guy on your team, but he's also a fucking animal that can't stop getting in trouble.
Right? I bet all of his paperwork has to do with James Bond.
The Mythbusters proved that any magnets fitting into that watch, by the way, ain't deflecting shit.
No, or pulling anything from across the room.
You're definitely getting struck by that bullet, James. M wants Bond off to New York to find this Kananga fellow and ask for his coat. Moneypenny rushes to the closet to grab it before M sees inside. Miss Moneypenny, thank you. Goodbye, James. Or should I say, ciao, Bella. She smiles and departs with M.
I like this little Moneypenny flirt because she had the righteous chance to extricate him in front of his boss, and she didn't take it.
Well, then he'd be fired, and who would she flirt with?
Well.
James goes to the closet and uses his watch to open it for no reason. It took the same movement and effort. He again uses it to unzip her dress.
Again, for no reason.
Such a delicate touch. Sheer magnetism, darling. Even though the string pulling the zipper down moves at a faster rate than that of the watch.
We talk about a new special effects guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Cut to a Pan Am, overlaid with a tarot reading session. As Bond flies to America, Solitaire foretells his arrival and destructive purpose. Exiting the airport in a dapper suit and leather glove combo, Bond spies a taxi with the same plate as his luggage serial number. The driver is Charlie, played by Joe Chitwood. The car is one of many Chevy Bel Airs used in the film. In fact, most chase or crash cars are Chevy Bel Airs, Impalas, or Chevelles.
A lot of Chevys in this.
They saw Ford get theirs in the last movie, and they were like, I'm getting in on that.
And getting in on that.
Yeah, we'll give you all the cars to destroy. Just fucking put us in your movie.
Right.
Driving off, Bond gets a call on the cabbie's car phone from Felix Leiter, this time played by David Hedison, who will reprise the Felix role in License to Kill over a decade later and with a different Bond. But yes, it's another new Felix.
So this is a different Felix from the last Felix. I'm convinced Felix's super spy thing is shape-shifting because he's a different guy in every movie.
He's a founder.
Something. A master of disguise. Turtle.
Felix tells James Kananga is heading to his embassy, which they have wired for sound. As Bond gets off the phone, a white Corvado, which is a combo of a Corvette and an Eldorado, creeps up next to them. The large henchman inside opens a panel on his side mirrors and fires a dart into Charlie's temple, killing him and sending Bond's taxi out of control. That Corvado pimpmobile is so sweet.
It's dope.
The henchman was Whisper, played by Earl Jolly Brown. Bond leaps forward and grabs the wheel before crashing into a Ford Ecoline. After crashing with a dead body, he has to call Felix for help and get out of this jam with American cops, and also to put out an APB on a white pimpmobile. Good luck.
Right. How are they going to find that car?
I need an APB on a white pimpmobile in the 70s in New York.
Right? Like, okay, good luck with that. But then I guess they had a license plate number, which I don't understand how Bond saw that, but okay.
I thought he was too busy trying to not die at the time.
That's what I thought.
Meanwhile, Felix is listening to the arrival of Kananga, played by Yaphet Kotto, and his goon squad. They walk into the embassy pontificating on political matters as Kananga secretly starts a tape that continues the conversation for them as they slip into their actual costumes. The embassy has a sweet Morgan Freeman portrait.
I don't think that was Morgan Freeman.
I know it wasn't, because Morgan Freeman was young back then, but it's fucking hilarious how it looks so much like Morgan Freeman.
It does look a lot like Morgan Freeman. I didn't even really pay attention to the portrait in back.
Hard cut back to Felix Leiter and the Quantico kids. Felix informs Bond of the address the pimpmobile is registered to. Bond goes to check it out and finds an occult shop called Occult Shop. Brilliant.
Original.
As he's browsing the skulls, Whisper enters the shop and quickly darts into another room. Bond grabs a stuffed snake and asks the saleswoman, played by Kubi Chaza, for it to be gift wrapped, lengthwise.
So go take your time with that, because I'm going to sneak off.
I'm not sus as fuck, I swear.
Right, I'm the only white man in Harlem.
After ridding the woman with his ridiculousness, Bond sneaks into the side door and finds a garage with the pimpmobile. Cut to Jane Seymour in lingerie. Nice.
Always nice.
She dons her fancy dress and joins the others, now prim and proper themselves, as they head into a hidden elevator. Cut to Bond, trying to find the dart gun on the pimpmobile as the elevator behind him opens and he dives onto the floor to hide as Kananga and his goon squad leave in a Cadillac Fleetwood 60 Special.
Another sweet Cadillac.
Bond hails a 1973 yellow checker taxicab A11. Damn near every car in this film is new, by the way. Every Impala, Nova, Chevelle, and Bel Air was brand new.
Yep. Showcase. Trying to sell cars, baby, not make movies.
As Bond pulls away in the cab, the saleswoman calls out on the radio that he's tailing. Behind the cab, we see Lon Satin playing a man named Schroeder, Harold Schroeder. Schroeder says into his radio that he sees him and follows Bond in a 1973 Chevy Impala Custom Coupe. The Bond theme plays, and again, it's honestly better than you've ever heard it so far. Bond's cabbie, played by a well-chopped Arnold Williams, asks Bond if he knows where he's going. Bond says, "Uptown, I believe." "Man, you're going into Harlem." "Well, keep on that jukebox and there's an extra 20 in it for you. For $20, I'll take you to a Ku Klux Klan cookout." Wow.
Yeah, that was the first wow for this film. I did look it up, though. $20 back in 1973 was about the equivalent of $133.
$100?
I'm taking you a Ku Klux Klan rally for $100.
The three cars continue their game of not-so-trivial pursuit as they pass a 1973 Lincoln Continental Mark IV Dunham coach, a seriously gorgeous car. Inside, 2 henchmen call on the radio that there's a honky on their tail, while as they pass, a shoeshine calls that Bond is heading east into Harlem on his stashed radio. It then cuts to Strutter, saying into his radio that, "You can't miss him. It's like following a cue ball."
Must I always point out that Bond's spycraft is questionable?
Well, at this point, we know he's a bloody celebrity, and he's been on the cover of Playboy, and he hangs out with Hef, and random fucking diamond smugglers fucking know who he is. You can't kill
Right?
James Bond.
You can't kill James Bond, man.
It's not even like, oh, it's a honky in Harlem. They're like, oh, that's that James Bond guy. Hef's best friend, you know.
Right?
Oh, shit, ain't he a spy? Oh, we're fucked.
Doesn't he work for British intelligence?
Hasn't he saved the world like 8 times? Bond pulls up to an intersection, and on the corner is the Lincoln Dunham coach, which we just saw. So either the continuity girl sucks, or Bond didn't notice this amazing car twice in his path. Bond finds Kananga's caddy parked in front of the Filet of Soul Jazz restaurant. Bond pays his cabbie and heads in, which the cabbie radios he's doing as Strutter parks across the street. Inside, Bond gets stared down as he walks up and orders a bourbon. No ice. That's extra, man.
That's funny. You just wanted to say that to the white boy.
The waiter giving Bond a hard time about his bourbon here is Irvin Allen, who was Chi-Chi in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and will come back once more for The Spy Who Loved Me.
They did like to use recurring actors, just not reoccurringly.
Irving Allen also did some work on The Saint, so was familiar with both the franchise and the new Bond. Also a side bit here, Bond ordering bourbon is a direct consequence of their choice to have his Bond not do the things Connery would do, such as his signature drink. The waiter and bartender have Bond sit in the first booth. As the waiter approaches with Bond's drink, Bond pulls out a 20 and asks for some information as the booth starts rotating. The waiter snags the 20 as Bond is zipped away and the booth replaced with the empty one from the other side. As the waiter walks back with his 20, he drinks the bourbon as well.
That's funny. He wasn't never taking that drink to James Bond.
No, hell no. That drink was never going to leave his hand in the first
No,
place. The way he
no.
immediately, smoothly just turned around like, what? On the other side of the wall, the death glares continue from all involved. Adam, played by Tommy Lane, holds a gun on Bond and tells him to relax. Mr. Big wants to talk to you.
Mr. Big.
While they're waiting, Bond gets up and sees Jane Seymour playing with cards. Black Queen on the Red King, Miss Solitaire. No, bitch, he asked your name, not the game you're playing.
Or the game he was implying you were playing. You're gonna call her out playing solitaire and her name is Solitaire?
That writing's not even funny or cheeky or cheesy, it's just lame.
It's just lame, yeah.
That line should not have been before her intro.
No, something else, anything else.
Anything else.
He could have said blackjack.
Should have been rummy, since they play gin later.
Yeah, lazy writers.
There's 7 goons in this room, and no one is stopping him from doing shit as they talk either. Well, now there's 8, because Teehee, played by Julius Harris, just showed up brandishing a wicked smile and a fucking hook hand.
It's definitely a claw.
Teehee asks Solitaire if he's armed. She glances at a card and says yes. Teehee takes Bond's gun and bends it like a soft prop gun.
Like the soft prop gun it is. Even if he had a claw, can't bend a fucking gun. Your other hand is still normal. That's not how
Winter Soldier.
That's not how that shit works.
He's literally a Winter Soldier with a fucking claw for a hand. His entire arm is like that.
Yeah.
It's like the Denzel Washington Virtuosity, Sebastian Stan MCU. I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah, I know.
Bond tries to schmooze Solitaire some more. He asks where he is in the deck, and she has him draw a card. He draws the Fool, and she says, "You have found yourself." Just then, the door opens, and out walks Mr. Big. Mr. Big doesn't even let Bond speak, but tells his goons to waste that honky now, before disappearing again.
Oh, waste that honky.
He said, "Names is for tombstones, baby. Take this honky out and waste him."
Efficient. Brutal. Love it.
Bond asks Solitaire about his future and draws the Lover's card, asking if it meant to be the two of them, leaving her visibly shook as he's carted away saying, "Now promise you'll stay right there." I shan't be long.
Hmm, hmm.
Jane Seymour was so hot back in the day, bro.
Oh, super hot. You're starting to develop quite the crush on quite the bevy of Bond girls, older women.
All I know is Diana Rigg and Jane Seymour were super hot back in the day.
Oh, they get better too,
And Daniela Bianchi.
until they get worse.
Two of Kananga's goons walk Bond around an alley at gunpoint for way too long.
Way too long.
When they finally decide to kill him, he takes them out with a fire escape ladder.
I don't even think they were deciding to kill him at that moment. They were still walking.
You guys have waited too long.
Right.
You lost your chance.
You're right. He's like, oh, this looks like a good opportunity. I don't know what, like, they were walking in blocks away or something. I don't know. Special murder house
We're gonna walk him at gunpoint through halfway through Harlem.
halfway through Harlem, right? Of course, it is two black dudes walking a white man, so nobody would have said anything.
As he's grabbing their revolver, he hears Harold Strutter ordering him to drop it before revealing himself to be CIA. The whole radio bit being a clever rope-a-dope as he wasn't talking on the same frequency.
Yes, it was a clever rope-a-dope.
I felt like his face, for me, the entire time, from him following him around, from him tailing him, Bond, to right now this conversation, is like, I'm in the CIA, I studied, I trained, I worked my ass off, and now I'm here babysitting a dumbass white dude in Harlem. Because he even said, like, nice disguise, Bond, a white face in Harlem. Ooh.
Right? It was that level of disgust on his face. Like,
He's the only person who doesn't know who James Bond is and doesn't respect him. As the two get into Schroeder's car, they exchange info and wonder why American gangster Mr. Big wants anything to do with a two-bit small island diplomat like Kananga.
or vice versa.
Felix overhears on the radio and asks them to elaborate as Bond realizes the car lighter is the microphone and speaker combo. A genuine Felix lighter. Illuminating. He quips.
There were some decent one-liners in this one, but that wasn't one of them.
There were a lot of them. And it's really just the ability to deliver it and do the comedic timing really kind of saves. Like, they're all dumb and punny too, but he does it better.
He does it better. He does.
A wise man once told me comedy is timing. Felix tells Bond that Kananga is leaving for San Monique on his private plane, and he's booked Bond a ticket down. Hard cut to a jump scare type reveal of Baron Samedi, immortalized by Geoffrey Holder, a wild and mad voodoo priest, or maybe even immortal god. From his stylized face paint to his maniacal laugh, his top hat and dress coat, this was an instant Bond legend. Dancing and motorboating and laughing some more. This man is never not on 11.
Always on 11. Have you seen his 7-Up commercials? This dude is always on 11.
Meanwhile, Don Topping comes over the tannoy, as it turns out that this is just a tourist show and dinner. Don MCs the spectacle as the voodoo charade plays out. He reveals that the Baron Saturday is the god of cemeteries, chief of the Legion of the Dead, and cannot die. Now enjoy his musical dance number.
Now enjoy the musical dance number.
Tony Almecki does some contortionist shit. There's some flame spitters, a pretend sacrifice, the works. Bond is seen arriving through the show and goes into his hotel room. Inside, he finds clothing belonging to a woman and several bugs planted. He uses a device to send signals to an unknown person off-screen. He orders Bollinger for 2 and then takes a bath to shave. A snake is released into his bath from a trapdoor on the wall, and Whisper comes in as room service, trying to call for someone, but proving his name. Bond signs for the bottle and tips the man before heading back to the powder room. As he's primping in the mirror, the snake sneaks up on him. Bond sees the snake in the mirror and lights his aftershave aerosol can with his cigar cherry to use as a torch, killing the snake. Couple things here.
A couple few things.
A, that's not how that works. And
No.
B, Whisper saved Bond.
Yeah. Yes. Whisper saved Bond.
He had his back turned a foot or two away in water from the snake before Whisper came.
Yeah. If he hadn't heard Whisper, he might have got bit by a poisonous snake. My whole thing is, why do they keep trying to use animals? That is the most unreliable form of assassination attempt that I can think of.
Because Cubby Broccoli thinks they're exotic.
He's not wrong. They are exotic. They're just horrible assassination tools.
Yep, every time.
Every time.
Bond's hotel here is, in real life, the Sansuchi Hotel, now Couples Sansuchi, in Ocho Rio, in the foothills of the Blue Mountains, which was previously featured as Miss Taro's home in Dr. No. This is why I'm not describing their sets, as a lot aren't purpose-built sets, as I said before, they're actual
Real
locations.
locations, yeah.
The woman who jointly checked in with him as Mrs. Bond and left her shit sneaks up at the door and slides her gun through before Bond burns her hand with his cigar, disarming her before tossing her onto the bed. This is Rosie Carver, played by Gloria Hendry. She assumes she's gonna have to answer for this, but Bond says, "Nah, your gun is standard CIA issue, so tell Felix I said hi." Dude, a gun is not a badge.
A gun is not a badge.
She says she saw Whisper and was just worried, not meaning to point the gun at him, as she heads to the powder to sort her wig out. Seeing the snake, she screams and runs out with James smiling. "Sorry, you shouldn't go in there without a mongoose." To this, she breaks down and questions her life choices,
Right.
to which Bond replies, "Oh, I'm sure we could lick you into shape."
I wrote that one down.
She declines his advances and retreats to her adjoined room, where she screams again, finding a fur top hat adorned with bloody chicken feathers. Bond mocks the tiny thing, but she's paralyzed and screams it's a warning, and for him to get it out of here. He tosses it a few feet away and she collapses onto him, begging him not to leave her tonight,
Of course she does.
even though it's still like right there.
Right?
The next morning at breakfast, Bond is dressed like Neil Breen, wife beater included.
Yep.
He's sent a Queen of Cups tarot card and goes into a tarot shop with it. Hard cut to Bond and Rosie pulling up to the docks in a 1972 Leyland Minimoke with an awning top. They walk along a row of boat charters, all shooting their spiel. But Bond walks up to a shitty boat with a man sleeping on it, kicks him awake, and says, "This one seems eager enough." Rosie excuses herself below to change while James is fishing, and downstairs, there's a lot of pornography on the walls. I can't believe they got away with that.
You're not wrong. They did slip a fair amount past the censors in that one scene.
If you have a 1080p or 4K, you're going to see a shit ton of boobs, and you might even make out the girl finger banging herself.
And well cut out, too. It's not like you kept the edges.
No, yeah, no, for real. Someone took their time.
Someone took their time.
Oh, there's also secret compartments with radio equipment and a gun downstairs. That's worth mentioning.
Worth mentioning. You know what's also worth mentioning? Is it's the same gun she had.
Yeah, it's a standard issue.
Right?
Upon her return, she believes herself to be seeing the charter getting ready to strangle Bond with a rope. She halts him and holds him with his own gun on him until Bond tells her that this is Quarrel Jr., played by Roy Stewart, the man that shares Bond's hairbrush.
And by hairbrush, he means signaling device.
Yeah, the hairbrush was the signaling device. That's the tell that this is the man he was talking to.
Yes.
She laments almost shooting him, but Quarrel assures her that she left the safety on. Some CIA agent.
Right?
Bond asks Rosie where Baines was killed, and she says right around this cove, which is overlooked by a palatial estate that belongs to Kananga's witchwoman. There's a series of cuts as we go back and forth between Solitaire reading Bond coming in the cards, and Kananga on the other end of a radio hearing her and saying, "Good, Rosie's been more effective than I've hoped for." Back to Bond arriving on a small dock, and again to the conversation as Kananga asks for the future. She flips a card and gets the lovers. She freezes, and in her hesitation, he asks if it's death, and she lies, saying that it is. Bond and Rosie come up in a rented 1963 Chevrolet Impala convertible to a fork, and she tells him to go down. But he calls her out on saying that Baines was killed up in the hills. Bond has had enough of her bullshit and suggests stopping off for lunch to talk.
Bond's fancy way of saying, I'm going to fuck you and interrogate you.
And then maybe kill you.
And then maybe kill you.
After dining out on a dish of Rosie, Bond shows her the tarot card and tells her that a Queen of Cups upside down indicates a lying woman. He demands answers, and she says they'll kill her if she does. And he pulls his gun on her, puts it right in her face, and says he will if she doesn't.
Right?
She says, "Not after what we just done." "Well, I certainly wouldn't have killed you before." She sees a voodoo totem and freaks out again, but he's not buying it. She runs off, and another totem in the woods with camera lens eyes opens its mouth, revealing a gun barrel which fires a somehow suppressed round, killing Rosie Carver. As Bond looks over her body, we get a shot from behind the totem showing that they could just shoot Bond now, but oh well.
But they don't. It was a one-shot booby trap.
God damn it, by revolvers. Cut to Kananga and Teehee questioning Solitaire, who looks like the baby of a peacock in Queen Amidala. I really miss Ken Adam. These sets are so boring. Dark brick room with a projected green design on the floor. Woohoo!
Yeah, the sets weren't inspiring at all, actually. Kind of, as you say, boring.
She tells Kananga that it must have been the girl's death she saw in the carts, and he warns her not to lose her usefulness as her mother did. Hard cut to Bond on a hang glider in a sitting position, with a slight breeze in his hair and a cigar in his mouth. He's being towed by Quarrel's boat. When released, he glides down and kicks a guard, played by Keith Forte, in the back of the head, before landing and doing a quick outfit change with a reversing dinner jacket.
And tearaway pants.
Inside, Bond is playing with Solitaire's cards when she comes in, demanding he stops touching them. He says, but the cards say we'll be lovers. She says it's impossible and forbidden and tells him to leave. He says, but you do believe, really believe in the cards. Oh my God, bro. He lays them out for her to choose one. She draws a card and drops it, and it's the lover's card. Shocked, she turns, but Bond gets up after her. You knew the answer before, and somehow, strangely, so did I. He kisses her and drops the deck of all lovers' cards. And wow, that is some next-level manipulation rape right there.
That is some next-level manipulation rape. 100%.
You do believe, really believe in the cards. Good, because I've got like a whole deck of...
Yeah, totally manipulated her.
My man bought 50 decks of tarot cards and threw them all out to get this one deck of all lovers.
Right. That's how you'd have to do it, too.
When we cut back to them, she's in bed, distressed, as it's finally happened to her, as it has her mother, and her mother before her. Well, of course, you're visual proof of that, aren't you?
He just doesn't get it, does he?
She says that. You don't get it. I've lost my power, and he will kill me. James calms her, and she asks for another round of sex, which he obliges, as there's no sense going out half-cocked.
I wrote that one down, too, because that was kind of funny.
Honestly, there's the same bad jokes. It's just much better delivery. It's the world of difference.
A world of difference.
Cut to the next morning, and the two lovers are walking through the woods and following the scarecrows when they happen upon a cemetery with a rag-wearing and flute-playing Baron Semity, saying, "Good morning," before pulling a radio in his flute and snitching on them. So we cut to Teehee on a phone, saying that they're here, and then cut to Kananga looking impatient, saying, well, if he finds it, kill him. But why not just kill him anyway? I don't know.
He's a thorn in your side. Why are you waiting to kill him?
They watch Bond's progress on security footage shot from the scarecrows. Meanwhile, Bond has indeed found it, it being a poppy operation hidden on the hillside. A chopper goes after Bond, but loses them in the brush because it's camouflaged by the netting. I feel like your own camouflage netting kind of fucked you.
You right?
Bond and Solitaire duck off into a small village where they're spotted by 3 cops on 1973 Harley-Davidson 350 SS's. Bond commandeers a 1947 AEC Regent 3 to escape, and they're off. Bond spins on some wet asphalt, but it launches all 3 cyclists out of the pursuit. Cop cars continue the chase as Bond heads for a low bridge in the double-decker bus. Now, for this bit, they cut the top off and placed it on a track with ball bearings to get it to slide off when they hit the bridge, dropping in front of the patrol car, who drives along inside of it before crashing into the water for a comedic bit.
Yeah.
Dude, that being said, even pre-cutting it and putting ball bearings on to get it to help slide, they still didn't know if that was going to work. They literally asked the guy who rigged it up, what are the odds? And he was like, I don't know, just do it, man.
50-50.
It's still quite heavy.
It will or it won't.
An orchestral version of the Live and Let Die theme song plays, and I think this is the first time the theme has a symphonic rework for the score.
I think it is too. I was thinking about that.
Bond drives to the docks and jumps on Coral's boat with the girl, and they cheese it with a quick insert of an angry Kananga. Blink and you'll miss it. 3 editors. It's like they're getting on the boat, cuts to Kananga looking angry, cut back, they're still getting on the boat and going. It's like, what did you do that for?
No reason at all.
I hate you. Also, as they pull into the docks, 2 dudes jump out of the way and into the water, but when it cuts to a closer and different perspective, there's plenty of room. Oh no, he's coming at us at like 25 miles an hour in the middle of the dock jump. Cut to the lower deck of Coral's ship, where Bond comforts Solitaire and she flirts with him. Hope she doesn't look at the walls, might kill that prude still coming out of her shell vibe.
Right? Like, what the fuck?
What is this? Where did you take me? Is this some kind of love boat?
Right?
Solitaire wants to bang. Bond wants to get to New Orleans. And the Sharks want a repeat of the Indianapolis. Hamilton was killed in New Orleans, and it has to be involved. Plus, we have Solitaire, he says before shuddering up below deck for fun time.
Right?
Seriously, though, what was the point of that insert of the Sharks?
I don't know, other than the fact they show up later. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. Call back to Thunderball?
There's gonna be sharks again at the end of this movie, even though it's nowhere near where we are right now.
Right? I don't know. Whatever. Do you, boo.
We paid somebody to film shark scenes. We're gonna insert some shark scenes.
That's it. I mean, we gave him a film credit. We need sharks.
Dude, we don't even credit people who speak. Upon arrival to the port of New Orleans, Bond and the girl jump in a taxi to go to the Royal New Orleans Hotel. The cab is going the wrong way, and Bond asks if this is the way to the hotel. But the cabbie is revealed to be the same from New York, our friend Arnold. He says, I don't know, but it sure beats the hell out of Harlem, don't it? He flips a switch, trapping the lovers on the lam behind a sheet of glass. Now relax, Jim. Mr. Big wants a word with you.
He calls him Jim.
The cab takes the two to a private airstrip with an awaiting Hansa jet. Adam says Bond made a mistake by taking the girl. The cab driver says Bond's going skydiving. Adam says Lake Pontchartrain looks amazing from 10,000 feet. And finally, Solitaire says she'll only regret not being able to see it, as she swings her purse at Bond, and he deflects it. But this is his chance to start swinging. He rolls under the jet and ducks into a hangar. Out the other side, he jumps into a running Cessna 140 for the Bleecker Flying School. Inside, old Mrs. Bell is ready for her lesson and starts taxiing around the tarmac, asking what the lesson is for the day. Let's just wing it, shall we, Mrs. Bell?
I actually thought he was going to take off.
I would've.
All right, I would have too.
Ring around the rosy on the fucking tarmac? Like, fucking
Right.
get the fuck out of there.
Right? 3-dimensional. You're on a plane.
Bond and Bell play ring around the tarmac with goons in the usual Chevys and one Chevy Custom Deluxe pickup, also a 73. The goons slide into barrels and a couple of Piper Cubs. 2 more goon mobiles smash into both sides of a Douglas DC-3, one of them ramping onto the wing.
That was funny.
Bond takes through a hangar, and men try to close the large door, but Bond punches through a gap. Mind you, they never left the ground in this plane, so his wings are sheared off after an attempt at a comedic "oh shit" from old Mrs. Bell.
That was pretty funny, though. Nice big eyes and everything. Oh, shit.
She has some big-ass eyes, so that kind of worked.
She did. It did kind of work.
The men run out and shoot at the plane from close range, and I don't know why this didn't work. Some of them had shotguns.
It's a plane. It doesn't stop bullets.
It's a Cessna. But Bond escapes 50 feet away and comedically parks the destroyed plane back in its spot just in time for the owner to get off the phone and look over like, uh-oh, whoops.
What's going on?
I like how Bond just like parks it somewhere else in the same airport, and I guess they just give up.
Right.
I made it to my parking space.
Safe.
Mr. Bleecker, played by Stephen Hendrickson, does not look happy, nor does Mrs. Bell. Cut to the hotel room he was trying to get to, and Bond is there, getting fitted by a tailor, while Felix is literally getting cursed out by Mr. Bleecker.
You can't hear it, but you can hear Felix. Bond is a walking damage control nightmare.
This set is what I'm talking about, by the way. A fancy hotel here is just blue velvet and robin's egg walls with molding. A large, ornate, but sparsely decorated room. Welcome back to form, Sid. Boring sets this time.
Right. They were.
Bond asks Felix if there's a filet of sole restaurant in town, but they're way ahead of him, and Schroeder's down there watching it now. Cutting to Schroeder, we see him lighting his pipe and standing exactly where Hamilton was stabbed to death on the streets in the pre-title sequence. As the familiar funereal music plays and we see the parade march out, the old man assassin walks up to Schroeder, and it cuts to the trumpet player blasting the celebratory blow of his horn, signaling a completed hit.
Right? Rest in peace, Schroeder.
We barely knew ye. As the parade parties on over Schroeder's death, Bond pulls up in another taxi that was most likely the same car as the last one they shot in.
Probably.
I just want to say I love the funeral parade hit bit, but it's effectively saying whenever someone's creeping on the filet of sole, they have a 100-person hit squad on the ready.
Yeah.
Bond and Felix enter the filet of sole and are greeted by a waiter played by Dan Jackson. The waiter tried to seat him in a booth next to the wall, and Bond asks for something closer to the stage, saying he once had a nasty turn in a booth.
You're not gonna fool me twice.
At the stage, they order drinks as BJ Arnau comes out singing a cover of Live and Let Die. The waiter tells Felix he has a call from a man named Schroeder, and Felix quips that he thought he was laying down on the job. Get it?
Yeah.
'Cause he's dead. As BJ belts on stage, the floor beneath Bond lowers, taking him and his table with him.
I got you, white boy. 2 trapdoors.
After the trap floor reseals, the waiters put a new table and chairs down fast with their drinks, making it look as though Bond disappeared. Cut to Bond in a tight room that's honestly the best set so far. The lines in the concrete and the bars over the lights in the ceiling give the imprisonment feeling of claustrophobia, even in a larger room to account for all the actors. Cold concrete and metallic grays, with 2 tall candles on golden candelabras framing Mr. Big, who looks like Kananga in a shitty latex mask from the 70s.
Yes.
Sounds like him too.
Yep.
Also, Kananga is never with his goons when Mr. Big is around. I wonder what it all means. Mr. Big is seeing red, seething with rage at Bond with only one burning question. Did you mess with that?
Did you fuck my girl?
Bond keeps saying he'll only tell Kananga, which serves to further enrage Mr. Big until he finally snaps and pulls his fucking face off, man, and he's not even Nick Cage.
Right? Face off.
Off. Teehee thinks this is all just great, by the way. Biggest smile in the world on that man.
Tiki is a great henchman. He's probably up there on one of my favorites.
Yep, me too. But I like henchmen with personality, and this guy's got oodles of personality just pouring out of that big-ass smile.
Right?
Mr. Big removes the latex mask from his face, revealing himself to be Kananga the whole time. No way, I didn't see it coming, but Bond obviously did, ergo the gaslighting him into revealing himself.
Right. Bond obviously knew, because he took one look at that fucking makeup and was like,
Why do you sound exactly like Yaphet Kotto? You didn't even change your voice.
Right?
Bond calls him out on being a poppy grower and apparently also, as Mr. Big, his own distributor to sell heroin. Sell, Mr. Bond, no. Oh, I'm sorry, you intend to give it away. And of course he does. 2 tons of heroin with a street value of over $1 billion, flooding the streets as free samples to man or woman, black or white. Kananga doesn't discriminate. He just wants to hook new customers and undercut the competition until he has a monopoly.
Pretty simple plan, straightforward, easy money. I believe,
And actually logistical in the real world.
Oh yeah, I believe Denzel Washington made a movie very similar about it.
That's their drug plan in Half-Baked.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
But the question stands, did you touch her? But this Bond is the quintessential English gentleman, and he won't tell. Kananga says, well, seeing as how you set the example, Solitaire will also be a lady.
Sharp.
Kananga called him a bitch.
He did.
Kananga is so smart.
He is.
He's so proper at all times.
He is. He made a good villain.
Kananga takes Bond's watch and tells Teehee to snip off Bond's fingers if Solitaire answers incorrectly before reading the serial number on the back of Bond's watch and asking her if he read the real number or not. She flips a card and says yes, it's the truth. Bond puts his watch back on, confident he'll just walk out for some reason,
Huh.
before Teehee knocks him out from behind and Whisper carts him off like an annoying child playing limp.
Right? He had the confidence to just stand up, put his watch on, like, getting ready to say his
You're like,
goodbyes.
oh, yeah, well, have a
right?
good day. Like, are you fucking kidding? I mean, she might live this, but you never were.
Mm-hmm.
Well, intentionally.
Right?
When they leave, Baron Samedi walks in and burns a High Priestess card in front of Kananga. Kananga, annoyed, confronts Solitaire. Yaphet is fucking good as an actor, and you can feel his broken heart.
Yes. Yeah, you can. He's a great actor.
I gave you every chance, Solitaire. It was 50-50 and you didn't get it right. She said she had no choice, and he touches her gently one last time before backhanding her so hard she ended up in the Wild West as a medicine woman for a small village named Dr. Quinn. I like how he put his hand on her arm one last time, like, this is goodbye, and then BAP!
Bap! Oh, he laid that pin pan down.
Bitch, you made me do this. In fact, Kananga literally screams, why'd you make me do this? You're making me hurt you right now. It's your fault.
Abuser.
There's only one way to deal with this, as Baron Saturday flips the death card and laughs maniacally.
That good old Jeffrey Holder laugh. Classic. It's classic.
Cut to Adam and Teehee with two other goons taking Bond to the farm in a 1973 Chevrolet Impala custom coupe. A crocodile farm with the entrance sign of trespassers will be eaten. Taking Bond through the facility hidden inside, Bond gets an eyeful of their opium processing plant because it's not a Bond film if you don't tell him your entire plan and show him how it's done.
Why do they do that? Every bad guy, I have to expound my whole evil plan.
I don't know, why do they use animals to assassinate?
I don't know. It's exotic.
They take Bond to a small bit of dry land in the middle of a croc pond and leave him there as Teehee attracts the crocs with raw chicken he's throwing about. Crocs close in around Bond. He tries to attract a boat with his Wonder Watch, but it's tied down. The crocs are approaching and pushing him off the island. He turns and sees the crocs somehow making a perfect step bridge across.
They're lined up nose to nose.
And perfectly spaced.
Yeah, and perfectly spaced.
It's like they're tied down.
Right?
He runs across the backs of the crocodiles to the other side, and you know what's coming. Of course, they did this for real.
Yep. Real ass crocodiles.
Ross Kananga, the real-life owner of the farm, was paid $60,000 to pull off that stunt. It took him 5 takes, but he got it.
I wonder how many times he just fell.
4 times.
Bold man.
Hey, he lives with the croc that got his pappy. He's bold.
That's true.
Back on mainland, Bond gets the crocs to follow the chicken trail into the facility, which he also sets on fire for good measure, causing everyone to evacuate before it explodes. Teehee sees Bond getting in a boat and orders goons after him in a boat and Adam to take a car, cutting him off further ahead on the bayou. Adam speeds off, calling on his radio for more goons in boats to head to the Irish bayou.
Is it me, or was that just another convoluted way to try to kill Bond that, of course, because they're using animals, did not work out?
Oh, surprise.
Surprise!
One boat almost gets taken out by Wake entering the fray just to drive into a tree rather than ramp a berm. Cut back to Adam speeding away down the Louisiana highway when Sheriff J.W. Pepper, portrayed by Clifton James, catches him doing 95 and goes after him.
For me, this is when the tone of the movie changed from like a James Bond movie to like Smokey and the Bandit.
For me, this is a preview of the rest of Moore's Bond career. Adam pulls off at a levee breaking the bayou as Sheriff Pepper rides up. Pepper has a lip full of dip and racism that won't quit.
Oh yeah, super racist.
Pepper hears the engines of the approaching speedboats and says, "What the fuck?" But the fuck was censored by a revving boat engine. Bond's boat ramps the levee in a huge stunt jump by Jerry Como that accidentally set a world record at the time, going over 115 feet and causing a wake so large it flipped the boat behind it when they landed, but they cut before you see that.
Interesting. I did not know that. I didn't know it was a world record boat jump.
That's not the last time they will set a world record with a vehicle stunt on accident.
Of course not.
In universe, though, Bond speeds off after his engine was shot by Sheriff Pepper, and one of the other boats crashes into his patrol vehicle. The goons disappear, and J.W. Pepper has another censored curse as 2 more cops pull up in their vehicle, but J.W. Pepper commandeers it.
Yeah, those were Stadies, and he's the sheriff, so...
They don't like him, and he is well opinionated on his power.
Yeah, definitely well opinionated on his power. My authority.
By the power invested in me by the state of Louisiana, I do here commandeer this vehicle. That means you, dumbass. Cut back to Bond, who's running out of fuel from the bullet hole. Being chased and desperate, he hard turns into a southern gentleman's yard as that man enjoys a sweet tea and a Newport whilst reading his magazine. The boats slide across his lawn as Bond ends up by the man's dock and owned boat with no bullet holes, which Bond steals. The goons slide all the way into the man's pool, powerless as Bond speeds off again. As the last boat catches up to Bond, we cut to Sheriff Pepper as he loses his shit on the police frequency. We got a swamp full of black Russians driving boats to beat the band down here.
Black Russians.
I had to look up what he said, by the way. I played it a million times louder and louder.
It was so country.
It was so country, and I'm from Louisiana, and I still had to look up what the fuck he said.
Yeah.
By the way, he doesn't sound like someone from Louisiana. Just
No, he doesn't. He sounds like somebody from
Kentucky.
Georgia or Kentucky.
It is not New Orleans. New Orleans sounds a little bit like this. You said that we got you down a swamp full of black Russians driving boats to beat the band down here.
Yeah, for sure.
The cops barricade Miller's Bridge with small boats and crab pots, but Bond literally doesn't even slow down whilst bursting through them. His chase boat barely slows, crushing his way through also, so very ineffective barricade there.
What barricade? These dudes are jumping over land masses and you think your little boat's gonna stop them?
J.W. Pepper says, "You call my brother-in-law Billy Bob. He's got the fastest boat on the whole damn river. Billy Bob sure enough fixed their ass." Cut to Adam driving up to Billy Bob, played by an unknown, waxing his boat because no chase is too important to not look good in it.
He's like, oh yeah, I got the call, baby. Me and my boat are going now. I gotta make sure we look good catching these black Russians.
Billy Bob is racist toward Adam, and Adam, being an American man with a healthy and respectable amount of pride, knocks Billy Bob out for this. He just so happens to also borrow Billy Bob's boat while he's out cold.
Yeah, that may have went different if Billy Bob hadn't started the conversation like an asshole.
Maybe he was going to charter a boat.
Maybe he wouldn't have knocked him out. Maybe he would have just paid for the boat.
Maybe he ain't no nincompoop.
Maybe he ain't no nincompoop.
And if you know, you know.
Yeah.
As Adam flies around the bayou, J.W. Pepper goes mental. "Yeah, there's my brother-in-law. Dude, fucking my sister. Total fan bam. He's the best." As the other officers see the man driving is black. And I don't get the joke here. Pepper's sis digs black dudes. That's cool. The music once more gets epic, and Adam passes the chase boat and closes in on Bond. So Bond land plows across a wedding in a stunt over a long bit of land at the point of the bayou. They twice crashed into trees attempting this stunt, damaging the boat and injuring the stuntman. He gets all the way across on the second take, but hits a tree at the very last edge before exiting into the water. So they ended up using that, and that's why there's a cut to the boat re-entering instead of one long and broken shot like they wanted. Because when they returned the next day to complete the shot, the set had flooded.
Aw, Mother Nature's a bitch.
All the chairs were floating around. In fact, a lot of problems came from the boats besides what's already been mentioned. They crashed into crew. They had issues maneuvering them. Roger was injured in one. So boats are to Roger Moore as helicopters are to Sean Connery.
There you go. I'd rather it be boats, though. Helicopters are super dangerous.
Yes, they are and were, and yes.
Yes.
Ouchie. My leg. Back to the chase, and Adam is smart enough to go around the point to go after Bond. But the slower chase boat crashed into the cake and reception tent for the wedding, causing a white bitch to cry.
Instantly. I don't understand how she just went from what's going on to boo-hoo.
My cake just got taken out. She's fat.
Oh, well, okay, there is that.
The reception tent had all the gifts, too. Come on. They literally took out the two things I'm here for. Now I'm stuck with this man, and if I don't get a honeymoon out of this, I'm going to kill myself tonight.
Right?
Coming up to a dead end, Bond jumps the highway again with his boat, causing Adam to follow suit, and causing the patrol cars chasing alongside to flip over and into each other.
Because they don't know how to drive all of a sudden?
Because they're cops in a Bond film. They always do that.
Hmm.
Bond and Adam line up as if to joust, and Bond tosses petrol all over Adam before sending his boat careening and out of control at top speed and into a larger boat where it explodes on impact. Rip Adam, you were a real one.
Hmm.
Serious, man, that dude played that guy so cool, so real, in a world full of cartoonish caricatures.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He stood out to me.
He was like straight off the wire before the wire was a thing.
He was straight off the wire, yeah, exactly. He stood out to me for that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm glad you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
Getting off the boat, Bond meets with Felix as J.W. Pepper pulls up. What are you, boy? Some type of doomsday machine? The state trooper captain tells the sheriff that Bond is from London, helping our boys out. Some kind of secret agent. Secret agent? Pepper screams. Well, not anymore, you just scream out secret agent like that, bro. On whose side?
How secret is this dude stealing boats, fucking boat chasing, jumping highways? I mean, nothing he did screamed secret agent. At least secret.
Felix says Kananga took off with the girl, showing him the burnt tarot cards pointing to Solitaire's death tonight. He also says the goon escorting her was Baron Samedi. Cut to the voodoo village of San Monique. The people dance that crazy voodoo that you do so well. 3 men run up and make out with and dry hump the ceremonial barber poles they tie sacrifices up to. I'm not kidding.
I hated this scene. I was like, oh my fucking God.
They hump those things as if auditioning for something.
Why is this so stereotypically bad for the 70s? Like, I get it. Everybody black is the bad guy, and I get it. You're on a voodoo island. But why?
It's not everybody black is the bad guy. It's just the bad guy this time happened to be a black person. They've been white like 10 times before.
Yeah, I know. It's just bad.
They're trying not to be. They don't know they're racist, but they are. Just they're from such an era so steeped in it.
Right.
Felix sees Bond and Quarrel off from a boat, and again, it's very reminiscent of Dr. No.
Right? It is. Felix staying behind, not gonna help.
Well, he's very much a supporting role.
Right?
Quarrel leaves scuba suits and a shark gun, saying, "Send my regards to Baron Samedi," right between the eyes. Back at the pagan party, people pray to poles, shake bells at them, get down with their bad selves. It was all fun and games until out came the white bitch to kill. Then it was all time.
Yeah, it seemed like a major party when they brought Jane Seymour out.
They cheer, the music picks up. They're quite excited about killing a young, hot sacrifice instead of a stuffy old dude for once.
Right?
Damballa appears and grabs a snake from a coffin full of them. Bond looks at his watch, still just chilling behind a tombstone, when we cut to Quarrel planting all the charges around the poppy farm, doing all the work, taking all the risk for none of the credit.
None of the credit. This is all James Bond's operation.
Damballa dances with the snake close to Solitaire, but then backs off, and everyone chants as a top hat is brought out and placed in front of a grave. A bell ring and a machete scrape later, and Baron Samedi rises from the ground under the hat as the villagers cross their hearts. Bond shoots Damballa, and then Baron Samedi, who shatters as if a plaster statue instead of a man. This hushes the village, but Bond still shoots an eager man with a machete before kicking another and backing towards Solitaire. He cuts her down as the poppies go up in flames.
Was it so dark that Bond couldn't tell that his first shot was into a mannequin, that he had to shoot it again? With my only 6 bullets, I'm going to use half. There you go.
And Bond is using a revolver at this time,
Yes.
like in the books.
Yep.
Everyone scatters. Bond tries to escape with the girl, but another Baron Samedi pops up. Bond is unimpressed, but this time the man smiles and laughs his signature laugh, sending fear into Solitaire's eyes.
Will the real Baron Samedi stand up, please?
Singing, the Baron grabs a machete, so Bond passes off his gun to the girl and prepares for a machete fight with a voodoo god in the Caribbean. Rip James.
It's not like he could use the gun. He wasted all of his bullets shooting Samedi statue.
That's fair. That's fair.
3 at the statue, 2 at what's his name, and 1 for the last guy. I count it.
Quick insert of the snakes in the coffin, and we know where this is going now. Thanks, movie, for spoiling yourself.
Yeah.
The snakes were already set up. Now they're telegraphed.
Right. Easily telegraphed. Lazy writing.
It's editing. That's those 3 editors.
Yeah, bad. Okay, there you go. 3 editors.
One of those editors liked stupid inserts.
Yeah. 1 editor.
Well, 2 tops.
Tops.
They fight, and it's anticlimactic as hell. 1 machete swing that's parried, and then Bond punches him twice, sending the Baron into the snake coffin, seemingly, finally, dispatching the man.
Well, face down on a coffin full of snakes and twitching like you're getting bitten.
On the dick.
On the dick.
The way his ass popped up so high is like, all right, one of them bit him on the dick.
Right? That's what you get for wearing just a loincloth.
Bond and the girl run to the elevator grave and tap it with a machete, causing it to descend with them aboard. In the bunker, Bond kicks the goon at the controls and then takes out 3 more before an alarm is sounded.
All the sophisticated cameras in this movie, and they didn't have sophisticated cameras on that part of the elevator?
No, they were too busy watching the dailies. Bond and Solitaire hide from the guards in a cave, a huge set that would make Ken Adam proud. Finally, they round a corner, and Kananga says, "Ah, Mr. Bond, there you are. Miss Solitaire as well." Kananga is drinking a martini and tells Whisper to bring 2 more. "What shall we drink to, Mr. Bond?" "How about an earthquake?" Bond retorts.
Yeah, I like that line too because every Bond villain has a secret lair in a cave.
Kananga laughs and beckons him down. Yaphet Kotto plays this guy so well.
Oh, yeah.
He's smart, emotional, insane, but reserved and collected, like a bottle under too much pressure, ready to explode. Him and Tommy Lane's Adam were, in my mind, the first characters in these films that felt like real human beings and not an overacted caricature of one.
Right? He's a good actor.
I understand it's because we're finally moving out of like that old era of cinema, the old-timey era of cinema.
Right.
And they're slowly moving into a more modern era of cinema. And
Right.
so that overacting, that caricatureness is like slowly leaving. But these
Yep.
guys, they're intimidating and they're badass and they're not cartoonish at all.
Right?
Back at the SS Felix, Quarrel pulls himself aboard saying James should be along soon as his wetsuit was gone. But we cut back to Bond exchanging his gun for his martini. So we know Bond didn't take that wetsuit.
Right?
Kananga says, "Yeah, too bad we found that suit you need to get out of here. Also, this crazy gun, what is it?" "Oh, that's a shotgun with compressed air pellets." "Oh, a shark gun with compressed air pellets? Jaws came out 2 years after this." Kananga fires at the couch Whisper is chilling on, and the leather piece expands to bursting, sending Whisper on a no-fun ride against the wall before spitting him out again after it popped.
Yeah, that was a little cruel for no reason.
That is kind of dickish.
You right?
He thought it was hilarious, too.
He thought it was funny as shit.
Kananga has pulled out one of the compressed shark gun rounds and is fidgeting with it when he has Bond and the girl tied up to a small crane cart. Kananga puts down the round and grabs a knife, telling Bond he won't have a chance to drown. He comes at Bond with the blade and a fucked up grin as the Live and Let Die theme swells. Kananga cuts 3 flesh wounds against Bond's arm that Bond calls out for being superficial. "On the contrary, Mr. Bond, I think you'll find those wounds quite fatal."
Yeah, because I'm about to use animals again, bitch.
"Bitch, it's all I do." Whisper raises them up on a crane. Bond hits his watch and somehow perfectly attracts the one metal object in the room he wanted and gets the compressed round.
I thought about that too. It's like, there's a whole bunch of metal shit on that table.
A metal right around that thing, too.
Right? Why didn't the magnet pull him closer to everything else? I mean, that's...
It's like, it's probably going to pick up like a much larger object. If it picks up anything, like, I don't know, the metal walls.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
His hand just gets stuck to the crane.
Right?
Clunk. Whisper moves them over the water, and Bond's cuts start to drip blood in the water as he struggles to free himself. Kananga has the gate opened and tells Whisper to lower them slowly so the diners can assemble as we see sharks. Because of course we do, it's early Bond.
Fucking sharks, man.
Apparently, Bond's watch is also a buzzsaw. Convenient.
Oh yeah.
And it's cut through his ropes, allowing him to flip forward and swing from the bottom of the platform after Solitaire's feet magically disappear from the platform above.
Do they magically disappear?
Yes, they do. It's magically delicious.
Editing.
Bond kicks Whisper into a large container meant for smuggling heroin and locks him in it. Kananga sees this and goes full crazy knife man mode, complete with bulging eyes and crazed smile.
Right? What kind of crazy knife-wielding martial art was he trying to use there?
They always do that in movies, even still. Give a man a knife
Right?
and he's got to be like, wild crazy man, oh, look at my eyes. Ah. And they always like have this smile, like, haha, I live for cutting people.
Right? This is true.
They struggle and end up in the water together as sharks close in. Bond pops the compressed round into Kananga's mouth after activating it, and Kananga blows up like a Macy's Day Parade balloon before shooting up to the roof and exploding.
So that was filled with compressed helium and not just a little bit?
A lot of it.
A lot of it?
Well, Bond did mention when Kananga was fidgeting with it that if it went off in a room like this, it would probably blow the walls out. So it's a magically super compressed. He's got a fucking watch that can deflect bullets, bro.
Right. My bad.
They're improving the compositing finally, by the way.
Oh yeah, everything looks better. That's true.
It looks better. We're not going to say good, but it looks better.
Yeah, right.
Bond goes back to get Solitaire, who's magically back on the platform. She asks where Kananga is, because I guess she really did vanish for that fight.
I told you. Poof.
Bond quips he always had an inflated opinion of himself, as he lets her down.
That's funny. And you're right, it must be the timing.
Cut to later on, as Felix sees the two lovers off by train. They imply they're going to bang for 16 hours, but it immediately cuts to them playing cards, of course.
Of course.
He tries to mansplain Jin Rummy, but she calls Jin that same hand. And this is a beat trope, but I do like how she's naturally good at card games.
Right? Of course. It's Solitaire. You're not going to beat her with cards. Yeah.
Enough with the card games. Bond wants to bang. Cut to the mail car, and we see Teehee's claw slice down a mailbag from the inside. I told you, man, it's just rapid fire cutting and inserts.
Right.
And it's happening probably faster than I can even describe it.
Right. It happens a lot and rapidly and back and forth.
It's not good.
No, it's not.
Cut back to the lovers, and she's getting in the cabin cot and practicing her Kegels, whilst T's in the bathroom stalling until the Viagra kicks in.
That's funny. He's not that old yet.
What's he stalling in there for, then?
I have no idea.
Teehee shorts the train car's fuse box, cutting the lights. Because if you remember the train fight from Russia that they keep trying to recapture, they had the lights shot out.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right. It was a dark train.
Inside the cabin, she talks to herself as Teehee sneaks in and flips the cot with her in it back against the wall. His smile after this reflected my own.
Did it?
Yes, it did.
That was funny.
She was jabbering at the time, and it was nice.
She was jabbering, and it was nice.
She looks good. She's still annoying.
Fair. That's funny.
Mr. Bond, it's good to see you again. Teehee is never not smiling. I love him. Bond tells him to play 52 pickup, and this pisses off Teehee, so the two fight, completely destroying a false wall to the bathroom before knocking out a window. Bond rips at Teehee's jacket, revealing the strong metal claw to be his entire arm. And this was actually done really well, I felt like, with steel cables and levers pulling as it moved.
Yeah, oh yeah. It was done pretty well.
Teehee puts Bond against the window and brings his claw toward him, but Bond grabs his cuticle scissors and cuts the cables on Teehee's arm. This causes Teehee to become locked by the claw to the bar on the window, as he can no longer pull the claw back. And yes, you heard me right. Bond was saved by cuticle scissors.
Oh yeah, little tiny cuticle scissors.
Grooming before sex paid off.
If I were to try to cut the gauge of wire he cut with those, I personally don't think that would work. But whatever.
I personally do not think you would have cut those steel cables with cuticle scissors.
No.
James Bond cuticle scissors. They're Q branch, super sharpened.
Right, super sharpened. With magnets.
Bond flips Teehee out of the window and lets the girl down, who complains that it wasn't very funny. Bond throws Teehee's claw overboard as well, and it becomes very clear that she's super oblivious and doesn't notice the destroyed cabin, nor heard any of that.
No, right? Didn't hear any of that. Didn't notice the black guy about to kill her.
Right?
None of that. Yeah, none of that.
So she asks him what he's doing when he's getting rid of the claw, and he says, "Just being disarming, darling."
That one wasn't that good. I didn't write that one down.
I liked it.
Did you?
Cut to the front of the train. The orchestra swells again, and sitting on the very front of the train engine is Baron Samedi, painted and prim, smiling in his trademark smile and laughing his patented maniacal laugh. The camera zooms in on him as he tips his hat, and his face flash transitions into the burning skull, mirroring the bit from the title sequence leading into the final credits. And for once, we didn't end on or near the water that we can tell, though there's probably a river nearby.
Oh, yes. Probably a river nearby.
That amazing theme song plays again because hell yeah, we'll play that twice.
Hell yeah, they better play it twice.
And the credits start with thanks to all the companies that helped make this possible, including Portal Gallery of London, whose Fergus Hall painted the tarot cards for this film. Now, side bit, they hit up Salvador Dali to do the cards, but couldn't afford him. But Dali had already started and decided to finish his own tarot deck, though on his own time many years later.
The Dali Tarot deck is dope.
This movie is the reason that deck exists.
Oh, yeah.
I gave this movie an A-. I know this is going to sound crazy to some, if not most of you, but I have always and still love the fuck out of this movie. It is rife with problems, like all Bond movies have been at this point. But it's fun and reinvigorating to the franchise. I genuinely love the villains, the story, and the settings. Pretty sure Jane Seymour jump-started my puberty. All jokes aside, there's not as many mistakes to make fun of. Bond's in shape, energetic, charismatic, funny in a classy way, and they wrote perfectly for him realizing that. For this movie, he's at the tail end of his young looks.
Yeah, well, for this movie.
It's a genuine wonder that this movie came out as well as it did when sequences like the boat chase were just written by Mankiewicz in the script as the most fantastic boat chase you've ever seen. Plus, the editing was a bit of a nightmare at times, but far more tolerable than On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah, okay.
The jump cuts, you couldn't even tell what was going on. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah. I'm going to give this movie a solid A.
Solid A.
I almost like this one as much as You Only Live Twice. Almost, because of the pacing. They had a good action pacing. The plot was simple and efficient and brutal. This movie got a bad rep over the years.
Somehow, yeah. The racism of the era. And the racism went both ways.
Sorta. They didn't drop any N-bombs, but they did use honky a few times.
They didn't drop N-bombs, but they still said boy. For the kill count, let me ask you a question. How many do you think Bond killed?
Let me think about this. Bond killed... I don't think Bond killed.
He killed Kananga?
I think it was like 5 people?
Killed 8 people.
8 people. Yeah, I knew it was under 10. He didn't kill a lot of people.
5 were killed by other people.
Mm-hmm.
For a total of 13, which is our lowest since Dr. No.
Yeah.
And only one more death than that movie.
More story and less violence in this one.
For the pre-title, again, a quick location hop from New York to Nola to San Monique. Bold daylight assassinations of British operatives and a suave, but not ham-fisted introduction to our new Bond. It has M and Moneypenny and a female agent in bed with Bond. Even a Q gadget. Second place.
What? Second place? Pre-title sequence. Second place.
Mm-hmm.
You went a little higher than me. I gave this 4th place. I still like Goldfinger, Thunderball, and From Russia's pre-title sequences better. And I really wanted to tie this for 4th place with You Only Live Twice, but I think this one was just a little bit better.
Title, theme.
I put this as my number 1 because it's Live and Let Die. And it does, like the sequence, I know I said it got lazy in the middle, but it's still one of the cleanest theme title sequences I've seen.
At worst, they held on a frame too long. First place. This song is banging. It's amazing and deep with layers of sound that wind you up to let you breathe, just to swirl you up again. The imagery is striking and intense, but more importantly, perfectly befitting the film it's preceding.
Right.
You can't go wrong getting a Beatle to do your song. It's almost overkill.
No, you can't.
Moneypenny pickup line. There really wasn't a Moneypenny pickup line. He thanks her for keeping his secret about Agent Caruso, and she says, "Ciao, Bello."
Mm-hmm.
7th place.
Oh. See, I kind of ranked this as a Moneypenny flirt, and there was a subtle flirt. So I kind of gave this 5th place.
Oh, nice. But there was no Moneypenny, like, real pickup line
No, right. Yeah, no real
from
pickup
him.
line.
But this has kind of evolved. Moneypenny
Right,
pickup line has just kind of become the name of
right.
this section. It's just kind of become more about their flirtatious banter.
Mm-hmm.
Q gadgets.
I actually put this in 7th place, just above Dr. No, because there was no Q in Dr. No, and there was no Q in this.
There was a Q in Dr. No. There was Major Boothroyd.
Like James Bond explained the gadget this time. Like,
Yeah.
So, yeah, just above Dr. No.
Okay, I was conflicted on this one. There was a decent gadget with the watch that's a super magnet and a buzzsaw, but Q is not actually in the movie, so I put this in 6th place. Behind Q showing up with a voice changer and fingerprints, but ahead of Q showing up with pocket lint.
Pocket lit.
You know, a good gadget that he's not there for beats a shit gadget he showed up for in my day.
Okay. That's fair.
But it is behind the worst of the good usable gadgets that he showed up for.
Yes, yeah.
Cars. The only car James drives, aside from the Bel Air taxi from the back seat, is the Impala convertible on San Monique.
Yep.
8th place.
8th place.
My least favorite of the Canon cars.
I gave this one 5th place.
Hakachushk.
Yeah. Just because, all the cars were dope.
You and I have very differing tastes of 70s Chevys. As in, I don't like them. Any of them.
Well, I was thinking more along the line of the Cadillacs. The Chevys were plain, but the Cadillacs were dope.
That's cool, but Bond just drives a stupid fucking Impala and it sucks. It's definitely not better than that fucking Mustang.
No, it's
or
not
that
better than
Toyota.
Mustang. Yeah.
Main ally. Quarrel Jr. In a bid to pay homage to Dr. No by having Felix and Quarrel in similar positions again, he doesn't help Bond fight the bad guy at the end like Draco or Willard White, but that's because he's out doing the actual mission and blowing up the farm, not getting the girl who's still technically employed by the other side, though to be fair, a female being employed by the other side is basically a challenge for early James Bond like a wedding ring was to younger me. I digress. Quarrel Jr. is a repeat of his father, a stronger one who doesn't die, but a repeat. 6th place.
I'll give him 5th place behind Thunderball Felix.
Oh, nice. Thunderball Felix did bring the Navy.
Thunderball Felix did bring the Navy.
Bond's just going and getting pussy.
That being said, you called me out last time for putting Willie White over Quarrel. And I want to tell you why I did this. Quarrel, I have a lot of love for, but he's falling back on the list because towards the end of his life, he became a stereotype and a caricature. He started out strong, good lines and everything like that, but at the end, it was, oh no, I don't want to go nowhere near no dragons now, boss. And that bothers me a little bit. It's character assassination, in my opinion.
This is something we've talked about before. Crab Key Quarrel was like super strong, as strong as you could be as a character to match with Bond.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they get to Crab Key and they need like comedic relief and to kill him off, there's
right.
Just like,
He turns into Step and Fetch It. So
it's so bad, yeah.
Yeah. So I put Willard White above that. He's a fucking billionaire. He's got all the help he ever needs. Willard White gets on the phone, he gets shit done. That's his job, and he's really good at it. And that's why he went above Quarrel.
And that's why he got kidnapped and thrown into his own pantry. Villains. Bonaparte Ignace Gallia, known commonly as Dr. Kananga, and also by his alias, Mr. Big. He's a small island dictator with dreams of making it big by playing the political spectrum and the drug game. His split personality is his distribution, and he's got big plans, baby. Yaphet Kotto brought this man to life. Everyone on his squad did. So many memorable motherfuckers in this movie, and oddly enough, the most real. As we move more into the modern era, we move more away from the old-timey acting and movie making. Some of this will be for the better, and some for the worse. I again digress. This villain was charismatic and believable. I loved him. I hated his shitty Mr. Big mask. 4th place.
4th place, I gave our man Kananga. 3rd place on my list. He's not as scary as Telly Savalas's Blofeld with that undercurrent of sheer maniacal violence he portrayed in that. He is, however, smart as, clever as, strong as, and he might have been 2nd place, but you know what? I'm gonna give it 2nd place because I didn't like the weaker Blofeld as much.
Now you're thinking.
Yeah, Kananga's a stronger villain by far.
Main hench. In a movie overstuffed with legendary henchmen such as Whisper and Baron Samedi, with such amazingly performed henchmen as Adam. The main hench is without question Teehee. He comes back for the final fight. He's tall and always smiling, and it's not your typical unnerving smile, and I think that's what makes it hit harder. And he never stops, even when he's murdering shit with a super strong claw arm that can break down walls or slice and dice. The actor chose the claw himself as a weapon, as he had thought that most everything else had already been done. These guys poured their personalities into these characters. 3rd place.
Oh yeah, I gave it 4th place because it was really a tie for with Red for me. Red Grant, like he was as menacing as a villain or as a henchman, probably as Red Grant to me. Like, and that smile, he's like always pleasant about his murdering. It's hard to beat. Hard to beat. Yes, he got a 4th place for me.
Everyone on Kananga's side dripped personality and charisma.
Yep.
Bond girl, Simone Luttrell, aka Solitaire, who has clairvoyance and heterochromia, as in the eyes have different colors, which I didn't notice until I looked up her character bio and then looked at the film, and she does have a hazel eye and a brown eye. Jane Seymour has heterochromia. Just learned that myself, folks. Solitaire works for the baddies and is a very meek and mild girl, sheltered to the point of insanity. She follows whoever she's supposed to at the time, regardless of her own feelings, the entire time just hoping she isn't killed. She has powers that she never uses for Bond before they're gone. In fact, she does literally nothing for Bond but act as bait. But then he makes Quarrel complete his mission so he can have something to bang at the end of the movie. So, 6th place.
6th place, you said?
Is what I said, brother.
I gave this young lady here 8th place.
Damn.
Yeah.
Actively worse than Tiffany Case. Go fuck yourself.
Actively worse than Tiffany Case. Tiffany Case did things. Solitaire did nothing.
Tiffany Case did nothing but make things worse.
Yeah.
Solitaire at least was bait.
They were both equally nothing. Just fuck me. That was her whole job.
That got old fast. That's why in the end, when Teehee, I was like, I stopped saying she was hot, and Teehee put her in the wall, and I was like, thank God. Shut her up.
Right?
One-liner.
I'm gonna put this in 1st place because of all the one-liner deliveries. If I had to pick one, lick you into shape.
Amen.
That was probably the best one. That is the one that actually did make me chuckle out loud a little bit.
I put overinflated opinion of himself. Listen, now, none of the one-liners were badass like, you've had your 6. But unlike On Her Majesty's Secret Service, they had a charismatic, funny Bond who understood delivery, and they had more funny one-liners than ever. Just in a different tone now.
Right.
5th place. Locations, and you know how I do this. New York, New Orleans, San Monique, IRL, Jamaica.
For locations, I gave this one 5th place. They were a little all over the place, and they only really made good use of one of their locations. All the other locations were just where they went. Then they were on a set or inside a hotel. They didn't really showcase a lot of the locations like they've done before.
I'll disagree with you. I felt like watching it back, like they utilized New York and Harlem well. They definitely utilized the French Quarter and the bayous of New Orleans well. And, you know, even down in Jamaica, just for homage purposes, they still utilized it when they went to the same Miss Tarot spot.
I was underwhelmed.
Outside of seeing old cultures from opposite ends of the US from the 70s, the locations didn't offer much, actually. New York felt like New York from any other film, and that was the problem with that. We've already seen it in every other show and movie. New Orleans was awesome seeing the quarter in the bayous, and Jamaica was a jungle and a fictional island. The locations serviced the story far more than it veered into aesthetic indulgences of old, which, thank God, will be revived and made cornerstone. 6th place. Protracted attempt to kill Bond. Long alley walk, snake in room, crocodile island, shark feeding, take your bloody pick.
Right.
Me, I want Croc Island, and it's my 2nd place.
Your 2nd place, huh?
Yeah.
You like that one?
I did. Fuck off. You ran on Crocs.
I was a bit harsher because all of these protracted attempts to kill Bond involved an animal.
Not the long alley walk.
No, except the long alley walk. But I didn't count that as a death trap, per se.
Really, it was, I mean,
Yeah.
I did after how long the walk became.
Right, okay, that's fair. After they were walking for like 10 minutes, but...
But yeah, normally we wouldn't.
I gave this one 6th place because...
Woo! The animals.
All of these protracted attempts we've seen before in 8 other movies so far.
Not where he runs on crocodiles. The mission or plot. A one-man tank job against a one-man drug empire with an unfair amount of god-tiered goons, including a literal god and a woman that can see the future. Plus, he plans to hook the world on heroin with free Samps. 1st place, motherfuckers, so far.
I gave this one 1st place as well so far because, as I said before, the plot was simple, effective, and brutal.
And logistic in the real world.
And it was attainable. It wasn't fantastical. It wasn't convoluted. It wasn't curing an allergy to create a virus to kill off a certain species of animal. Simple.
I like it.
Brutal, effective. Number 1.
Stunts. Some boat stunts, including record-breaking jumps by accident and a shit ton of trees hit with free concussions. To be fair, that was about it. A dude did run across a literal crocodile bridge, so 3rd place.
I also gave this movie 3rd place, and strictly for the Americanized stunts. They were far more Americanized, less overclocking, more mounting cameras on the side of cars.
People getting fucked up.
Yeah, and record-breaking boat jumps. Most of the stunts were pretty good.
The score.
So I think we talked about this, but I gave this one 1st place. Live and Let Die. The score was banging. They used the Live and Let Die refrain for most of the movie, mixed in with some James Bond refrains done differently. Paul McCartney's friend, fucking fantastic job on the score. Gotta say. Number 1, 1st place.
From the moment the dots rolled out, my ears and brain knew I was in for a treat. Every hit from the score is perfectly timed and sounds perfect for the film. 70s Bond music done right, but again, it was almost like they had a cheat code this time with George Martin. 1st place.
No.
The movie.
I gave this movie 2nd place.
Whoa.
I really enjoyed this movie. I had forgotten how much I enjoyed this movie. The pacing was very good. It does have its flaws. I think we've gone over them all. But otherwise, overall, this is probably the 2nd best Bond movie I've seen so far. Next to You Only Live Twice.
It's absolutely crazy that you would say that because I loved this movie and I still love this movie. Probably even more, honestly. No bullshit. And I knew I was going to put this higher than people would have ever expected before playing this video.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm putting it higher than even I would have thought at number 2. It gets the 2nd spot from me for now.
Yeah, for now. Yeah.
And as they said, Bond will return in The Man with the Golden Gun, and so will we. So, until then,
I'm Chris Carter.
and I'm Agent Sedgwick.
Stay spying, y'all.